When I first read the release notes for Home Assistant 2026.4, one feature immediately stood out: infrared. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Infrared, that's old technology, and yes, it absolutely is. But that's exactly why this is interesting, because if you look around your home right now, a surprising number of devices still rely on infrared remotes. TVs, air conditioners, projectors, soundbars, fans, etc. etc. Perfectly good devices, but not exactly smart. With this release, Home Assistant is starting to change that. Infrared is becoming a first-class citizen in Home Assistant, which means those older devices can suddenly become part of your smart home. And if you've been around this channel for a while, you might remember I actually covered something similar a few years ago, using a Zigbee infrared blaster. But what Home Assistant is doing now is bigger and much more integrated into the platform. And it opens the door to some really interesting automation possibilities. We'll be starting in a couple of seconds. Before we jump into the features, one quick note about how I record these Home Assistant release videos. You might have noticed that I almost never push them during the very early beta. And that's intentional. I usually wait until later betas. For example, beta 4, 5, sometimes even 6. That's usually when the things are stable enough to actually test them properly, and then I record the video about a day before the final release. The reasoning is simple. Early betas change a lot. Features get tweaked, things get moved around, and sometimes they even get pulled from the release entirely, which actually happened this month. During the beta, there was a change planned around entity naming. But after community feedback, the Home Assistant team decided to postpone that change. That's exactly why I prefer recording videos on later betas before talking about new features. Because smart homes are not built on release notes, they're built on things that actually work. So let's talk about the biggest feature in this release: native infrared support. The idea is surprisingly simple. Home Assistant can now work with infrared proxy devices. These are small ESPHome power devices with an infrared transmitter. Home Assistant sends a command, the proxy sends the infrared signal, and suddenly Home Assistant can control devices that were never designed to be smart. This is very similar to what happened with Bluetooth proxies. They allowed Home Assistant to reach Bluetooth devices anywhere in the house, and infrared proxies are doing the same thing for infrared devices. The first integration taking advantage of this new system is LG Infrared, which lets you control LG TVs directly from Home Assistant. Power, volume, input selection, navigation, basically everything you normally do with the remote. But the real interesting part is the bigger picture. Think about all the devices in your home that still rely on infrared: air conditioners, projectors, fans, older AV receivers. Many of those devices work perfectly well. They are just not connected. Infrared support means you can integrate them without replacing them. That's a huge win because it extends the life of existing devices instead of forcing you to buy new smart versions. Now, I actually ordered the Seed Xiao infrared mate device to test this properly, but unfortunately it didn't arrive in time for this video. So this is definitely a topic we'll be revisiting in future video, because I think this could become a really powerful building block for smart homes. Just a quick note here. There is a big difference between the Zigbee infrared blaster that I recorded video on a couple of years ago and this device. I myself would still prefer the Zigbee infrared device over any ESPHome or ESPHome powered devices. And don't get me wrong, I love building DIY devices. The biggest problem for me is, unfortunately, the power. The Zigbee infrared blaster is powered by the batteries. no power cords. The ESPHome one unfortunately will require the constant USB power. Yeah, but for testing purposes, to see how everything works, even powering the infrared blaster via the USB cable will suffice. The second big change in this release affects automations. And this one is actually quite clever. Home Assistant is introducing cross-domain triggers and conditions. That sounds technical, but the idea is very simple. Until now, automations were tied to specific entity types. For example, a door sensor might be a binary sensor, while a motorized door might be represented as a cover. Technically, those are different domains, but for human perspective, they are both just doors. This release introduces triggers based on real-world concepts instead of technical domains. So instead of saying when this binary sensor changes state, you can simply say when a door opens. Home Assistant then automatically matches the correct entities. That means the same trigger could work with door sensors, garage doors, window sensors, or motorized covers. The same idea applies to motion detection, temperature changes, humidity, power consumption, and battery levels. These triggers also support targeting by area, floor, or label. For example, you could create an automation that says when a window upstairs opens without listing every individual sensor. And if you add another sensor later, it automatically becomes part of that automation. This is a really nice improvement, especially for larger installations, where managing individual entities can become messy very quickly. Automation might be the core of Home Assistant, but the dashboards still matter. And this release brings a few nice improvements to the UI. Dashboard sections can now have background colors, which makes it much easier to visually group cards together. For example, an energy section, a living room control section, or security cameras. You can also add favorites directly to tile cards. If you have favorite light colors or favorite card position, those can appear as quick buttons directly on the card. The gouge card also received a visual design, and cards can now automatically adjust their height depending on the content. That helps avoid empty space or cut off information in dashboards. None of these features completely change how Home Assistant works, but they definitely make dashboards cleaner and easier to use. Another feature worth mentioning is the new Matter Lock Manager. If you have a Matter-compatible smart lock, you can now manage lock users and PIN codes directly from within Home Assistant. You can add users, remove them, set PIN codes, and even create one-time access codes. These actions are also available in automations. For example, you could automatically create a temporary PIN code for a guest and send it via notification, or generate a one-time code for someone picking up a package and remove it later. Today, not everyone has Matter Lock yet, but this kind of functionality will become more important as the ecosystem grows in the future. If you're experimenting with AI-powered assist in Home Assistant, there is also now a new debugging feature. You can now see what AI agent is doing while it processes a request. That includes reasoning steps, tool calls, arguments, and results. This is especially useful if you are experimenting with LLM-based assistants or trying to debug automations that rely on AI. Being able to see what the system is thinking behind the scenes makes troubleshooting much easier. As usual, there are also several new integrations in this release. One that caught my attention is Solarman. This integration allows Home Assistant to connect to energy devices that use the Solarman platform. That's interesting for me personally because I have a DEA inverter coming in for testing. And that inverter actually uses the Solarman ecosystem. So this integration might become very relevant for future energy videos on this channel. Overall, Home Assistant 2026.4 or April release is really interesting release. Infrared support is probably the biggest headline feature, especially because it opens the door to integrating a huge number of existing devices. The new automation triggers make building automations more natural, and dashboard improvements polish the user interface, and features like Matter Lock Manager show where the ecosystem is heading. So while this might not be the flashiest release ever, it definitely adds some powerful building blocks for the future of Home Assistant. So what are your thoughts about April release of Home Assistant? What is the best feature you've seen so far in this release, and what may be the weakest one for you? Also, I want to hear your thoughts about the entity name changes. I don't know if you heard about them, but if you did hear about them, I really want to hear your thoughts. If you do end up liking this video, also don't forget to hit the like button and check that you are subscribed. And as always, I want to say thanks to all those wonderful people that are supporting me that have become YouTube channel members. Thank you all for all of your support. But let's not forget each and every one of you who has watched, shared, liked or commented on my videos. Thank you. If you too want to support the channel, you can do so by clicking the join button down below and become a YouTube channel member for only €2 or $2 per month. Or you can go to my merchandise store and grab something there. Last but not least, you can always send me super thanks and I will be super thankful for that. I will be seeing you next time. Until then, bye bye and have fun.